A big thing about Balisongs is the materials that it's made out of. Now, there are different qualities of material, which I can get into to a degree, but honestly, I think it's more important to know the different types of metals. So, this is aluminum. Aluminum is the lightest and cheapest metal that balisongs are made out of. Aluminum has some stigma because it is soft, and therefore, if you drop it on the ground, particularly concrete, you can get different scuffs. It's hard to show in this lighting, but here on the purple, you can see some scuffing, and here and there. So if you drop it, it can get damaged. That is one fault of aluminum. Another thing about aluminum is that it's slippery. And so aluminum without much grip, this has grip here on the faces, and you also have a sort of pattern here, if that will show up. There it is. There's a bit of some etching in there that helps with grip. It also has a false speed channel, which I can get into. So that is aluminum. Titanium is a popular alternative to aluminum. Older balisongs have been made with titanium and a lot of higher end balisongs. Now, these handles are supposed to be for the same knife as this one. They're different blades, but basically, this is a Kraken, and this is a titanium rehandle of a Kraken by Blocks. As you can see, this has much of the material cut out because it's supposed to be the same weight and distribution as this. So titanium is heavier. It also is in general less slippery, so you don't have to worry as much about texture on it. That is a middle ground. There is also, of course, I forget to bring it. Nope, I have it here. There's also steel. Steel is heavier than feathers. So typically, blades are made out of steel. This is steel, this is steel, and this is steel. Now, as you can see, these handles, while they're aluminum, fall like this. Steel is pretty heavy, and so these handles are also steel as well as this blade. So this handle is much heavier. Steel is not a common handle material because it makes for a really awkward balance, which I will get into a different video of. So typically, though, blades are made of steel. There are different qualities of steel. A common high-end steel quality is S35VN, but frankly, I don't think that steel matters too much in terms of its quality. There is also D2 steel, which can be at risk of rusting, depending on how it might be treated. These handles, I believe, are 70-75. There is also 60-61 aluminum, which this one might be. And so there's not a ton of difference between aluminum being 60-61 and 70-75. 60-61 is a little softer and a little lighter, but for the most part, it's not as big of a deal. And titanium, there are honestly different types of titanium, but frankly, I just feel like it doesn't matter as much. It's not really talked about too much. One also benefit of titanium is that it can get anodized. So if you have a plain color titanium, here, my liners are titanium, and they're just general silver looking. It's hard to see because it's covered by this G10, which I will get to next. But titanium can be anodized, where you use basically electricity to get a color onto it. And so this used to be silver and it was then anodized to be purple and teal. The last thing I wanted to talk about is G10. G10 is usually a liner, or sorry, a scale. You usually have G10 scales which go on top of liners, which are the metal plates underneath. And G10 is very light polymer and it is very good for grip. There is like one balisong out there that's made with G10 handles, but that's pretty rare. But typically, whether it's titanium or aluminum, you can have G10 scales on top, which are nice for grip. G10 can also be dyed using RIT dye more, and that's just its own thing. But also, if you do dye G10, it has to be a lighter color going to a darker color. You cannot dye a darker color to a lighter color. And of course, there's plastic. There's different types of plastic. Some are 3D printed, like this one here is 3D printed. This amber looking one is Ultem. But for the most part, plastic is plastic, and there are different types. But frankly, they're kind of all considered its own category. So that's the typical breakdown. And of course, plastic is light and soft and is a bunch of different things. Plastic is quite light, and it can crack and break if you're not careful with it. But it's still very fun, and it's very safe and non-threatening. So if you like this video, keep watching the playlist and check out my coffee description. My link to coffee is in the description, and it helps me make these videos. So see you in the next one.